Hi guys, in this video we're going to look into the basics of character modeling. Um, okay, so let's start. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my image planes in. So these are going to be my drawings, and I'm going to have a front view and a side view. This is massively helpful, so we can essentially sort of trace our drawing somewhat. So I'm going to go up to Create. I'm going to make a free image plane here, which is going to give me this plane here. I'm then going to go into the attributes of this one, and I am going to plug in my image, which should be on my desktop just down here. Okay, so there's the front view there, so open that up. Okay, and then let's do the same for the side view. So create the free image plane, select this here, and then select side. Okay, so now I've got both of those image planes in here now. Okay, so I'm going to move the side one. I'm just going to rotate it round to the side there and move it off to the side here. And I'm going to just take this one backwards. The reason I've done it like this is because if we look down here, you've got Z facing forwards. So this is positive Z. So this side here is positive Z, and you want your character to be facing down the positive Z, which then means that we've got this as X here, which points this way. So this side is positive X, which means this arm is going to be on positive X, this arm is going to be on negative X here. And then lastly, obviously, you've got Y, and above the grid is positive, below is negative. So I am going to make my character in the middle facing this way, and this is how my drawing should let me do that. So let's just close these attributes, and we are going to start life as a box. Okay, so most stuff starts off life as a box. If you want, you can start as a cylinder, which if you do, it will make it slightly more rounded for you, which might help you, but please take those subdivisions down to 8. And the reason for that is it gives you a 90 degree there, 90 degree there, and a 45 on both sides. It might help you get a more rounded shape. Sometimes if you start with a box, you can end up with a very flat, sort of boxy character. However, we will kind of round it off manually. Okay, so now I am going to hop into front view here. I'm just going to check my drawing is perfectly in the middle, which is not currently, so I'm going to line up the tail with this part here. So I'm just going to move that over. Okay, great. And now I'm going to turn X-ray mode on up here, and I'm going to start manipulating my box to trace the sort of outline of this character. I'm going to go to sort of this inner bit of his shell here. Let's move that up. That's not too bad there. Okay. Okay, great. So then once I've done that, I can then hop into my right view, and I can just realign my drawing if it's not quite in the right place. So I'm going to try and just mirror it between those two yellow parts there. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing again. So trace again. So put this one here, put this one here, and move this one backwards, and move this one backwards here. So I'm essentially tracing the outline of my character. So back into front view, I'm going to right click, select face, drag down as a marquee there, and then hold control and unselect it. So I've got that top face selected, and I'm just going to hold shift to extrude up to the base of the neck. The thing that you really want to do is you want to keep your model as low poly as possible, and this is going to help you get the right proportions and the right shape without having too many edge loops in, adding too much detail. Scale that in there, that's great. So same thing again with the bottom part. So select that face, hold control, unselect those, shift down to the bottom and scale it in that way. Hop into our front view and do the same here. So I'm tracing it. So I'm doing very big sections at the moment to block out that major shape, and I'm starting to get the shape of my character here. If I just run an edge loop down both of these sides, let's add a connect in there. Okay, great. And There we go, and add a connect in there. I could start to round off this shape already. So I could just take that out ever so slightly. And I'm also just going to take the corners inward slightly. So these ones here, these ones here, these ones here, these ones here, and then the ones on the top. And the ones on the bottom. And just scale those in ever so slightly. So you can see this is sort of making a more rounded shape for me already, and I can do that just in sort of perspective view. Okay, great. So now let's start looking at the arms. Okay, now these are a bit tricky, and we do the arms and the legs the same way. Most people are tempted to just extrude straight out like this and form the arm there. We're not quite going to do that. We are going to extrude it, but rather than going straight out, we're actually going to move this vertex upward slightly to form a shoulder, and we're going to take this one to form the sort of the straight edge there. And then rather than extruding out of that part there that I just did here, I am going to instead take these faces and extrude out from these. And the reason for this is that when I come to insert an edge loop, it's going to just go around the arm there. Okay, if I just extrude out of the side here, like this one, and just go straight, and insert the edge loop here, you can see it goes across the whole body, which means if I need to add loads of detail to the arm, I'm going to get loads of detail on the chest as well, and I don't want that detail there necessarily. So it's just a way that you can keep your topology a little bit tidier. It also forms a bit of a shoulder for us as well, which will mean it will bend a bit better when we come to skin it and weight it. So I'm going to go to the elbow part here. Then I'm going to select this face, unselect these, and extrude out to the very end. Again, we're keeping it very low poly here. We will add in and refine these shapes a little bit later. Okay, great. Let's do the same thing again. So I'm going to grab the faces here. Just going to check that in perspective view, which ones. Yep, cool. So undo those. Great. Super, back into front view, and I'm going to extrude out, and again I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to go sort of across ways there, and then I'm going to pull this vertex downwards to form a bit of the sort of the thigh there, and then I'm going to then select this face underneath, so that one there, to extrude to the top of the knee. Cool. Just going to double check that one in perspective view to see what's going on there. Sure where this little edge loops came from here. Oh, I can see. Okay, so for now I can remove this edge loop. I don't need that, and that's kept it as quads everywhere, which is good. Okay, great. So I'm just going to select that face under there, hop back into front view. I will then extrude down to the bottom of the knee, extrude down again to the top of the foot, extrude down again to the base of the foot, but this time I'm going to scale it outwards. Can then go into side view here and start to tweak some of these, get them closer to how my drawing had them. Move that foot back here. Okay, you can see it doesn't quite line up. I'm going to use my front one as my main reference at this point, so I'm not going to worry too much about it not perfectly lining up here. Your drawing is more of a guide, okay, more like guidelines than actual rules. So we can extrude this out here for the knee part. So this is that knee part there. I've just extruded that out. I'm going to extrude this heel backwards again, and I'm just doing this sort of by eye now. Again, you want your 3D model to look good in 3D. Your 2D drawing is just that, just a 2D drawing. Scale that forwards there for the toes. Take that upwards there. My toes are going to be somewhat in here. Okay, I'll need to look at that a little bit later, but that's the the basis of that part here. My arm's very thin, wide, sorry, so I'm going to need to make that thinner. Super. So it's sort of tapering down there. Got quite a big shoulder. I think I'm okay with that. So let's look at adding some detail in now. Mesh tools, insert edge loop, and I'm going to insert an edge loop roughly here where this spike is, and every time I insert an edge loop I should do something with it. So I'm just going to scale that out here and then take the vertex up to the top there. Gonna press insert edge loop again, and I'm going to insert it roughly sort of halfway. Move that to match that and start to shape this. So you can see how I'm sort of starting to refine this now. But the more you leave it low, probably the easier it is to get your sort of core shapes, rather than just adding loads of detail and getting that perfect curve there. At the moment it's fine just having it kind of like what I'm doing at the moment by inserting them and tweaking them. Okay, so every edge loop needs to have a purpose, otherwise it's not needed, obviously. Okay, great. I obviously would delete half of this, and I would mirror this. So if we just mirror that now, and we need to go the other direction, that looks good to me. Great, there we go. So let's hop out into perspective. Turn X-ray off. And there we go. I've got my sort of the start of my character here. I've got fairly decent topology. In the next video, we're going to look at smoothing it off and making it more detailed, and using something called the crease tool. Okay, right. Thank you very much.